together, started sitting down and saying, what is it? What do we want? What do we want our students to look like 4 years after they've been here, 8 years, however long it takes? Some take longer than others. Come and stay. We don't care. So there's 5 things we want our students to do. We want them to be spiritually alive. We want them to be intellectually alert. We want them to be physically disciplined. We want them to be socially adept. And we want to be professionally competent. That's our goals. That's what we do. How many colleges in America do that? There's some. I'm not saying we're the only ones. I'm telling you there's a bunch that don't. You get a high score on the ACT or SAT, they want you, And I know people who are smart. But they have no social skills. Maybe they need to go somewhere besides ORU. I don't know. Maybe we could help them with the social skills, and of course we can. But where are those at? And so my challenge in my heart recently has been, and we do, Scott Sutton's charge is to get the best basketball team. So if I'm Scott Sutton, I don't go look for basketball players. I look for the best basketball players. I recruit who I bring because I want a good basketball team. So I'm going to go get the best players, not just anybody who signs up and wants to play basketball. Academics, you get a high ACT score, we give you a scholarship. We should do that. I'm for both of those. But I'm saying, what about if we want a whole person, do we have a whole person scholarship? In other words, you may not be 31 on your ACT. You may be 23. But you know what? You might be the president of your FCA group. You might be socially adept. You might be physically disciplined. You may be involved in sports. What scholarship do I have for you? I don't want to lose those. I don't want to lose Victory Christian's top students. Metro Christian's top students. It grieved me when I heard we were losing some of those. I'm saying, why? Do we recruit them? Do we have it? Do we have the scholarships? To recruit them, we're going to have scholarships. We as alumni have to step up the plate and say, we want those kids. Guys, here's the money. Go get those kids. Because, yeah, we can move kids on the dial. So if you bring me a 2 to ORU, we might can move them to 3, 4, 5. God's miracle, you can go to 10. But what if you bring me a 7 and 8? What if we already start out? What if that kid says, I've disciplined myself through high school? Scott Sutton gets to do that. He doesn't look for players who aren't disciplined, who aren't active, who aren't the best basketball players, who are dedicated to that. Why don't we pursue that whole person? So that's what I'm excited about at ORU. We measure that through an e-portfolio system. We actually give you a grade point average and a personal growth assessment. Now, there's not too many people in the country doing what we're doing. It's cutting edge, which means it's bleeding edge. It's not easy, okay? We have problems, but we're going to get through it because we want to measure the outputs. Talked to a guy from Billy Graham Association today. Billy Graham has measured some of this stuff. How many people raised their hands at Billy Graham revival meeting and stuff? That's great. That's an output. But 10 years later, where are they? That's really what's important. So let's measure that. Is it 100%? Of course it's not 100%. It's a whole lot easier just to measure the first part. But you know what? That's not good stewardship. Good stewardship says, where are they at 10 years from now? And if I'm not doing a good job, let's adjust. And we're in that process. We're learning where our warts are. It's not fun to go through. It'd be easier to just say, we do it. We put out great students. We have great outcomes. That's not enough. And what's so exciting is ORU's been on this for 4 or 5 years. The same thing God's been put on my heart. How do you measure outcomes? How do you know that you're spending the money the right way? Now, God can call you. I didn't have to wait to come to ORU to know that. I saw its fruit. To be able to write it down, to look at it, to evaluate that, I'm telling you, it's a very, very hard process, but I'm telling you, as time goes on, we're all going to see the value of it. And I'm excited about ORU and their initiatives to do that. Other ways, how does that come out? Well, some of you may have saw it was several years ago, I think it was 2002, the Tulsa Metro Chamber put out a survey, and they had the employees rate the quality of graduates from local training providers. Rate the graduates of these colleges, okay? There's about 30 of them listed here. Score of 1 to 5. What would you rate the graduates? Now, that's important. I tell you the truth, I don't hire people on grade point averages, okay? You got a 4.0, but if you don't got social skills and you're not a good employee, or if you're real smart and you don't have ethics, you're going to be able to steal from me better than I would really want you to. All right? So I don't want that, I'd rather you be on the low scale, not real smart here. How to figure out how to steal things, because people can do that, as you well know, and stuff. And so, anyway, they gave a score. The top score was 4.5 on a scale of 1 to 5. Then it dropped to 4.2, 4.1. So there's nobody was even close to the top 1. And, of course, that top 1 was Oral Roberts University graduates. The best. Who do you want to hire? I talked to us. Yes, thank you. And so, and then CHIA. CHIA is the, I'm learning all kinds of CHEA, knew things like that, you know. So I knew ORU, I knew what that meant, but I didn't know what CHEA meant. It's the Council of Higher Education Association. Many of you know we were evaluated by the Higher Learning Commission, right? But you may well know or not know that we have the nursing come in once every 10 years, the business come in, all these accreditors. We have 7, 8, 9 accreditors that come in. Well, CHEA, the Council of Higher Education Association, they accredit the accreditors. So these guys are over the Higher Learning Commission, all right? And they put out an award, and it's called the Institutional Progress in Student Learning Outcomes. Wow. If I'd like to win an award, I mean, I'd love to win the NCAA championship. Let's do it. But I don't mind winning this one right here. The 2007 CHEA Award for Institutional Progress in Student Learning Outcomes, presented to Oral Roberts University, Infrastructure for a Culture of Evidence. Wow. Wow. So we know our mission. We're doing well at our missions. We need to do it with economic sustainability, and that's what we plan on doing. Also at graduation, a young lady spoke. Some of you hopefully were at graduation, Jamie Weathers. I thought she did an incredible job of sharing. I mean, if I'd asked a student to speak, man, can you speak about this? I couldn't have given her what she said. And that's up on the website now, oru.edu. Please go if you've not seen Jamie Weathers. It's in print form. It's in video form. I think it'll encourage your heart, because this is what, when you see the Joseph Musa, you see these students, that's what gets you excited about what's happening at ORU. And well, matter of fact, a copy of her speech is in the handout that you have. There's one on Jamie Weathers, and then we had an Overcomer of the Year award, and that's in there. So hopefully you'll read those stories. Go to the website, and you can see Jamie, because she delivered. This is a piece of paper. It's flat. Please go and see Jamie, her passion, her vision, hear her personally share what's in here, and I think you'll enjoy that. There's also something on the e-portfolio that lists the 5 things we measure, the spiritually alive, and then underneath that it tells you that we want, what does that mean? It means biblical knowledge, it means sensitivity to the Holy Spirit, it means evangelistic capability, and it means ethical behavior. Now you may not even be a Christian, and you're an employer, and you could care less about the first 3, but you sure care about that 4th one, ethical behavior. And that's where I've had employers say, we love hiring people from ORU because you give them what we can't train. Ethics, behaviors, values, however they say that word, we all say it different and stuff. We can train them to do this part, but that's the part that we need and that ORU represents to us. And so that's a great reputation to have with our employers, and I think we continue to do that. And also in there is a question of price versus cost brochure. Actually, it was written by an ORU grad for Christianity Today. Just read a couple of things in here. It says, college years is one of the most significant times in a student's search for identity. You know, that's such an obvious statement. But when you really think about it, wow, that is right. We go through high school years, we got our youth group, we got our parents. When we go to college, we have a search for our identity. When does that happen? It happens between the years of 17 and 21 years of age when you're at college. You find out who you are. Do I keep my mother and father's faith? Do I lose that faith? Where do I go? And then the second quote that I ran across, I'm just going to read a few of them here, was more than 52% of incoming freshmen who identify themselves as born again upon entering a public university will either no longer identify themselves as born again 4 years later, or even if they do, still claim that identification will not have attended any religious service in over a year. That's a high cost. 52% of our young people are going to a secular college and coming out without a faith. And then one last quote out of here. Thus, being in an environment that includes both peer and faculty support for good decisions in the first year of college specifically is one of the greatest benefits of attending a Christian college. In contrast, being in an environment wherein both peers and faculty are critical, if not hostile to Christian values and morals, can make the first year a very difficult time for a struggling freshman. And so you guys know, you've been to ORU, I don't have to shell to you, we have faculty that love God and love the students. They are not there to marginalize their faith. They're there to increase their faith, to strengthen that faith during the time when they're trying to get identity. Yes, can we live in a bubble? No. We have to go out into the world. But just like a tree, you put some ropes on it when the winds are high, but when its roots get down strong, then you're ready to release it. And I'm saying through the college years is a great time to help get those roots really deep. And that's what ORU is all about, and why our family grieved at thinking that there could not conceivably not be an ORU the next year. And so that's what we're excited about. How can I